Alright. Um, so I'm just gonna do a quick sound test, make sure everything is working. I just want to make sure. Just gonna do that really quick. Looks like something's live. Uh, okay. Just gonna do that really quick. All right, so just kind of do a summary of where we were last time. Um, so I kind of actually had a plan. And kind of how I was gonna do this, but I kind of got too caught up in the plan, and I'm just gonna do. We're just gonna dive in, kind of, and just make progress along the way. Again, I'm learning just as you're learning, and we're just gonna make the best of it. Um, so last time, let's trying to load the text. Trying to load this. So it should be showing a notepad. And it is. Okay. So this is kind of what we worked on so far. This is an HTML document. If you look at it, there's an HTML tag, there's a header tag, there's a body tag, and essentially how we're going to go about this is there's actually, we're learning from freecodecamp.org. I did not make this website. I want to give credit to where it's due. But we're kind of going through the same curriculum. And there's actually two of the same. There's one, it's an older version, that's why they call it the Legacy Responsive Web Design one. This is all free, by the way. And there's a new one. And the new one, we are somewhat almost done. But we actually just finished the old one. I think I can confirm that. Right. 28 at 28. And when we did that, I think we got as far as being able to use paragraph text. So that p tag right there, right? That's a paragraph text, right? What is this? It's a heading text. Because it's H1, it's the biggest one, right? So if it was an H2, it would be smaller. In H3, even smaller. H4, is it smaller? Did it get smaller? Yeah, it was smaller. H5, H6. So that almost looks like just a bold text right there. This is a title tag. Remember this tag? So what this means is much like, that's basically the text up here. Okay? So if I were to, I'll put it this way, let's bring back this. So here's what the title tag is, just in review. This, right? Let's say this is a test, and I open this and I open this, website, I guess we call it, or web page, basically what it would mean is this text right here, this is a test, would be displayed in this area. So you can see my cursor. I think we can actually try that out. I'm just gonna try that out. I think I'm gonna try to open it. So I'm actually opening that file, and it just says test. Okay, so I think this is like an earlier version. But let's dig into the code here. Open with Notepad. Let's just see what's in this. Okay, so this is an earlier version. I'm gonna add a window so I can show you what I'm seeing. Up. Well, I actually gotta go. Hold on. What's up with this? Let me figure this out. Hold on. I want to open up this text so you can see both. Hold on. Trying to open up the just one moment. Okay, I think I finally got it. Let's see. Alright, so this is actually what I wanted to show. So this, right here, says title test, right? And if we move it, you do see this is actually another file. I'll just move that. But you actually see this matches this. So this means this text up here where it says test. So we can change that to, we can change it to how it was before. This is a test. This is a test. And if I save it, and we refresh, this is a test. Believe it or not, you see that title change. So you see what a title really means. This is a test. This is a test. I'm going to try to open the other one because it's more further along. I want to find out where that is so I can open it because it's just more further along. Okay. A moment. Okay. That's actually, so that's this right here. Okay, so I have this right here. Hold on. So this is a test. This is a test. I just want to confirm that these two things are connected. So this is a test, and it works. I'm going to add to it. Just want to make sure it's the same document. Yep, so it's the same document. So, yeah, essentially that's what we covered. Let's try to review some more stuff. I think I should get into that. Curriculum, legacy one. So let's just check this out. We've got into the head and the body. We got into checkboxes. Let's get into checkboxes. And we're gonna kind of just do we're actually just gonna do a quick review of it. We've already coded this, and you can see the previous streams, and that's how we can go about this. So let's just match the website with the code. So, you know, this, we know what this is. That's going to be that cat photo app. Click here to view more. And then there's a link, and that would go to, remember this, that's the placeholder. So before, you know, let's say you don't have a link, you don't want to really send it to a broken link, so you just put in a £, because that'll essentially make it go back to the same site. So that's just a convention. You know, this is another broken link indicator, but remember, this is href. Remember that. That's 4 links. So click here in to view more. That's in a paragraph, and then right here we got that link. Read after. Okay, we have a link here, a ref, and what's encapsulating around that? A picture. So that's this picture. So this cat picture is, so essentially imagine an image being a link. So an image can be a link. If we click the image, it says that, it's going to take us to that link. But, so that's essentially what it is. So it basically goes to this, it'll essentially go to this link. So what if we type in, we could type in anything. We could type in google.com. I wonder if that'll work. Yeah, let's just keep it like this for now. As we go down, we get more, we get a paragraph, we get an unordered list, right? And list items in the unordered list. So catnip, laser pointers, lasagna, those are going to be bullet points. And why are they going to be bullet points? Because it's an unordered list, and it knows it's an unordered list by this UL tag. If it's an OL, it'd be numbered, and you can even change it. And as you see, it changed. UL, UL. This is an example of an ordered list. Okay. This is a form. This is a form. If you look at this, this is a radio button. So it's going to be, okay, so this is label for indoor right here. The ID says indoor. The type says radio. The name is indoor outdoor. Why is it that? Because it's indicative that it's in this family. So it basically tells you that, so each button is going to have this same thing right here, because if you can, with the radio button, you can only pick one, right? So it can only be indoor or outdoor. So the convention is going to be, you want it to be indoor-outdoor. So it's going to make sense. So because you're using the same name here, it knows that whatever you do select is going to be your selection, and it's going to be connected to this name. So remember, it's all about name and values. So if you pick indoor, right, the value is going to be indoor, and that's going to be matched with the name indoor-outdoor. So imagine indoor-outdoor is a name being matched with indoor, the value. Now outdoor, the value. This is just going to be the text that the user sees. So remember, the name really has nothing to do with what the user sees. It's more about just matching the name and the value with what gets submitted in the form. So now we've talked about that. So let's talk about these, the checkboxes. What do we get with the checkboxes? I think one moment. I just want to make sure this is. Yeah, it's good. I just want to make sure that everything was visible. So let's look at these checkboxes. Now, with the checkbox, you can submit more than one thing. What's the characteristics of that? You can submit more than one thing, maybe even all of them. Like maybe the cat's loving, lazy, and energetic. It can be all of them. It can be one of them. It can be none of them. It's still going to have this name value concept. That's kind of the language of forms. So let's go to that. Let's kind of take a look at the code. Let's take a look at the code. Okay, so now this is where the label for that starts. For all that starts. Label, label, label. So do you see the name is personality? The name is personality. The name is personality. That's the name. Now, if you select this value, that'll be one of the values. That'll be one of the values. If you select 2, it would kind of imagine trying to maybe. This will be. Hold on. This will be kind of bad convention, but actually, I'll just make a new notepad. One moment. Alright, so in this kind of situation, and I'll write it down right here. Alright, one moment, I'm just readjusting. We have XX in chat. But imagine this is gonna be checkboxes. This is what to understand about checkboxes. This is how to think about checkboxes. Again, it's all about name, right, and value. What is the name of the situation? The name, if you look, right, it says personality. So that's a name, and the spelling does matter. It needs to be, well, it doesn't really matter, it just has to match. But again, how would this work? Let's say I select just one, right? Lazy. Then that's the name, right? And this would be one of the values. Let's say I select 2, lazy and energetic. So kind of how this would look being submitted would be energetic as well. That's how it would be. That's how a checkbox would look. Let's go back to kind of how the radio button would look. What is the name of the radio button? Indoor, outdoor, right? So we copy that and we paste, because that's the name, and it can be either one. So let's say we pick indoor, and we ended up hitting submit right there. Then it would go by not what this text says. This text could say banana. It doesn't really matter. That is just for the user. That's just for you to see. What it's really going to go by is that value. So, because the value says indoor, it would say indoor. So let's just get a little further. Just trying to review everything. And now we have a text box. Okay, now we have a text box. Has a placeholder. Cat URL. That's why it says that. And then you would submit. So I think that's all for now. That's kind of the last thing we covered. I'm just gonna read chat. This reminds me of MySpace. Well, are you building a basic website? So we're not really building a website. We're just kind of learning together on this website, freecodecamp.org. It teaches you how to create websites from start to finish. So we're just kind of gonna be going over that. And we finished this module. And now we're just reviewing it. So talked about turning images into a link. Talked about data link with the hash symbol. So that's that pound symbol. I think we're ready to move on. So we're going to move on to the other module. So this has a lot more. Has 69 modules. We're at 30. So let's just continue. So let's just continue. So let's go to 31. And let's figure out what the lesson is. One moment. Okay, so yeah, usually it would, I don't know, this format doesn't look right. I just want to make sure it's working correctly. I'm gonna refresh the page. Yeah, I'm gonna reset it. Okay, I'm gonna assume that this is working. It usually has a lot more instructional stuff here. So let's just get into it. Step 31 it's saying one of the steps after the last image element, add a fig caption element with the text "Cats hate other cats." So this is the last image element. Yeah, but it doesn't tell you what it wants you to do. Yeah, that's strange. Why would it not tell you what it wants you to do? I think it would go right here. Fig caption. And this is what it wants me to type in. Okay, so it says, congratulations, the code passes. So that is this code right here. So if you look, that's this code right here. So let's say, look over here. It changes. So this is like a real-time preview of this code. So this is kind of like a caption of this image. So you have an image. It's kind of like, imagine, it's like you have, like, let's say you have like a pie chart and you have a caption under it. That would kind of be what this is. So you would call that a figure, and then there would be a caption for it. So that's kind of the template we're operating from. Let's just stick to what we were instructed to do, and then go to the next challenge. Okay. So I guess the format of this is just a little different. It has each individual step. That's why the modules are more. I think that's what I'm realizing. It looked like there was something wrong. It looked like there was something kind of off about it, but I think it is the way it's supposed to go. So let's go to the instruction. The strong element is used to indicate that some text is of strong importance or urgent. So, we can think about how this would look. In the fig caption you just added, that's going to be right here. It assumes the next step, just added, indicate that hate is of a strong importance by wrapping it in a strong element. So what does that mean? Let's do it. This is a strong element, and we're wrapping the word hate in it. So imagine wrapping it like you would wrap anything, like a gift. You're putting what does wrapping mean? It really means the same thing in web development. You're putting something around it. So what does that mean? This is a strong element right here. So if you notice, cats hate, and it's in bold. There's a little bit of emphasis right here. I could put that in another word. I could go from I could wrap cats hate, and I would get both of them, right? So that's all it's gonna do. It's basically gonna kind of mark it up so that it's of higher importance. But let's again stick to what it is, and it should have cleared me. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Go to the next challenge. In the time to add a new section, add a third section element. Oh, it is time to... Sorry, I read that wrong. It is time to add a new section. Add a third section element below the second section element. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. This is the first section element. This is the second section element. Do I see it closed? Because we're looking for this to be closed now. So that looks like the second one. I don't see there's a third one. So we're just really looking for, it's literally just a matter of looking for the first one and the second one. So, okay, so this is the first one. This is the second one. Yep. And I think there is more. Yeah, there isn't a third one. Add a third one. Okay, that's what it is. Add a third add a third section element. I think I was looking for a third section element, and there wasn't a third section element. There's only two. So add a third section element below the second section element. So this is the first one. This is the second one, and all it's telling us to do is just add a third one. So how do we do that? Done. That's the third one. Let's say if I was asked to make a fourth one. It would look like that. Let's say I was asked to make a fifth one. It would look like that. But since I was supposed to just make three, the third one, let's check the code. Congratulations, your code passes because we made a third section element. Inside the third section element, so that's the one we just made, add an H2 element within the text. Add an H2 element with the text cat form. Okay, so let's just start with the H2 element. And we start with cat form. So we're going to get the text exact by copying and pasting it. And then we paste it. And then look what we get. That's what it asked us to do. In the third section element, that's what we just created. Add an H2 element, and that's what we just created. And then put this text in these elements. So, should it pass? Congratulations, your code passes. Submit and go to the next challenge. Okay, so that now that I'm seeing this, I think we must have made a lot of progress. See, now we're a lot further along. So we're gonna be going through this fairly quickly. We're gonna finish. We're basically gonna make it so that we're kind of level together with the other one, and then we're gonna just dive into CSS. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna finish this up, and then we're gonna dive into CSS. Alright, so now you'll add a web form to collect information from users. After the cat form heading, add a form element. Okay, so after the cat form heading, add a form element. So again, like almost, if you think about it, like this is like the instructions. Let's say, like I don't know if it doesn't exist, but let's say it said add a banana element, whatever that means, or add a I don't know, a cat element. You know, you would just do that. That's essentially like all it seems to have you do. It just tells you what it is, and so when they say add the element, that's literally what it is. That's kind of the language of this. So we already added the form element. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. We just did. It passes. Step 36. The action attribute indicates where the form data should be sent. So again, remember when we talked about, and I want to make sure it's on it's visible. Yes, the checkbox set. So, you know, remember we're talking about this in names and values? We're talking about these names and values. That is kind of what the data, that's kind of what I meant by the data. That's the kind of data that'll be sent. So it'll basically be like injected into some kind of website wherever we set up that action attribute. So it's like writing. Imagine it's like a paper form. You write it out, and then you mail it to some address. You know, that's pretty much what the action is. You know, it's like imagine taking that form that you just filled out, and then you're mailing it to, you know, down the street, or wherever it goes. So let's get more into it. The action attribute indicates where the data should be sent. For example, form action, submit URL, tells the browser that the form data should be sent to the path submit URL. So that's basically where it'll be sent. So I guess it's giving you like a placeholder kind of website right there. So now it's saying add an action attribute. Now it's telling us what to do. Add an action attribute with the value this. So this is going to be where the data is going to go. Or it's what they say the data is going to go. So the action attribute says where the data is going to go, and that's where it's saying the data is going to go. So it says clearly how the action attribute is supposed to be worded. So we have this form, and let's just type in action. So whatever goes in here So what goes in here? Add an action attribute with the value. This is the value. This website's the value. This is where it's going to go. Paste. And again, that's what an attribute is. So let's say it said add a dog attribute. Doesn't exist, but it would be, it would look like this if it did exist. Or a cat attribute. I forgot the A. It would look like that. That's an attribute. It's kind of like a specification of an element. So let's see if this is right. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So it is, because, told us what the action attribute does. Told us what it looks like. And we added an action attribute where we put this form element, and we put that in that like it told us. So we did what we were told. So because of that, it passes a code test, and we can move on to the next challenge. Step 37. The input element allows you several ways to collect data from a web form. Like image elements, input elements are self-closing and do not need closing tags. They're self-closing, and they do not need closing tags. Nest an input element in the form element. So it says nest an input element in the form element. So if you remember, that's how it would look if it's self-closing. So when it says self-closing, so I'll put it this way. Anything let's look at this. Let's look at the form tag. A form tag is not self-closing. It has an opening tag, right? This is the opening tag, and it needs this thing. It needs this thing to be a closing tag, right? Example of something that needs a closing tag, right? Would be something like this, a paragraph. Right? P needs a closing tag. And that should pop up somewhere right here. But, that's just kind of just review. But the element, and also images, right? It's a self-closing tag, so it's gonna look like this. What if I told you that there was a cat element that was self-closing? I mean, it doesn't exist, but if it did, it would look like this. If it wasn't self-closing, it would need a closing tag. It would look like this. So again, that's the idea of this. I kind of just want to keep repeating so that these concepts are kind of understood. So when they say that, that's what they mean. So I did hit submit. Oops. Did I oh wait, hold on. Oh, this way. One moment. I think it my cursor kind of lost track. Oh, so we moved on to the next one. So I clicked on to, okay, so what happened was I didn't realize that I went on to the next, I'm on the next module. Okay. So I just typed in the answer for the previous one for the next one. Okay. So this is a new lesson. So, okay, so there are many kinds of inputs you can create using the type attribute. So again, the type attribute, what's the attribute going to look like? It's going to look something like this. Just because it's an attribute. You can easily create a password field, reset button, or a control to let users select a file from their computer. Create a text field to get text input from a user by adding the type attribute with the value text in the input element. So that's what it's gonna ask. So that should work, and it works. So what do we do? And I'll show where it is. That is this code. So if we still have that action attribute, so whatever we type in, right, is going to be the value that's going to be injected into this. So this is where it's going to go. This is where that data is going to go. So that's done. Step 39. In order for a form's data to be accessed by the location specified in the action attribute, you must give the text field a name attribute and assign it a value to represent the data being submitted. For example, you could use the following syntax for an email address, text field, input type text, name email. Okay. Add a name attribute with the value. Add a name attribute with the value cat photo URL. Okay, so then back to name and values. right? So actually, this goes very hand in hand with what we were talking about. Names and values. It's all about names and values for forms. So whenever you think of forms, think of names and values. Imagine if you're filling out an actual form. It would have, it would basically tell you what to do. Like, maybe it would literally be your name, right? And let's say you're given a form, right? And it says your name, right? Let's say you're doing a test. Okay, I would write my name. That's what you do. So for this, add the name attribute with the value cat photo URL. So if we do that, we're going to talk about how it's going to look as data in a form. And that will pass. So, again, the name, what is the name in this situation? It's already a text, right? It's already a text element. The name is this. So we copy it, paste it right here, right? That's how it would look now as data. And let's say, we answer the question like this URL, cat photo URL, this URL. And then as soon as we hit submit, what will happen is whatever we type in would be put in as a stata. So, like, why does it need the name attribute? Because whatever you type in there, that's how it's gonna know what that means. Like, if it were to not have that name attribute, it would almost look like this it would almost be like this. Like, what do you do? It's like, all right, so let's say it was a real website, google.com. Okay. The server would kind of be like, what was that supposed to be? Like, what was supposed to go there? Like, what if on a form, let's use that name example. Like, I'm explaining the necessity of the name form. And let's say I just took away the name form in this situation. All you would kind of have to go off of is you would see Ryan Couture, but who's that? Like, what's that about? Why are you even writing that there? Like, is that a name? Is that, like, But if you put that in now, it makes sense. So it's basically labeling it, as data for the form. So in this situation, it's cat photo URL. And is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? It works. Because we did what we were supposed to do. Alright. We'll see how far along we are. I think we're gonna get a lot... Oh. This is the wrong one. So we're making a good amount of progress. Now we're on 40. So again, we're going to try to finish this. And then we're going to try to get to... Then we'll be ready to just dive into CSS. We're going to actually start with the legacy version of CSS. But after that, we're ready to start getting into semi-intermediate web development concepts after this. So if you're starting to understand this, then you're starting to almost get to a semi-intermediate level. So let's do what this tells us to do. Step 40. Placeholder text is used to give people a hint about what kind of information to enter into an input. Okay. For example, input type equals text. So what's the situation here? This is basically going to be a text field. This indicates it's going to be some kind of field. This makes it a text field. And when it says placeholder email address, what that's going to kind of look like is it's going to actually tell you, it's a way of instructing the user of what to type in. You know, you could do it another way, where, you know, you have the text before. Let's say you had, you know, email, or just email right there. That would be a way. That would be a way of doing it. But in this situation, it's going to have us alright, placeholder, right? Add the placeholder text, cat photo URL, and that's, see right there, now you have an idea of what to type in. That's all it does. And that should have been what we were supposed to do. So we check the code, it passes. We're doing good. Step 41. To prevent a user from submitting your form when required information is missing, you need to add the required attribute to an input element. There's no need to set a value to the required attribute. Instead, just add the word required to the input element, making sure there is space between it and other attributes. Okay. So I believe, if I'm correct, that is it. So when you use this word, when you do it like this, basically it's like whenever, it's like, let's say, you know, you're filling out a web form, there's some, let's just say the field doesn't apply, so you say, I'm gonna get away from that. I don't know, I'm not gonna tell. I'm not gonna say what my email address is. I'm not gonna say what my email address is. I've given them enough information. I'm not gonna say what my phone number is. So you just leave it blank. Without the required, it flies. You hit submit, and that's all they're gonna get. I mean, it is what it is. But this required, what this required does is it'll stop you. It'll say that unless you do put this information in, you can't go further. You can't submit the form. So if they don't submit information, their input, when it's a required field, they're not able to submit it. Step 42. Use the button element to create a clickable button. Use the button element to create a clickable button. For example, button, click here, button, creates a button with the text, click here. Alright. Add a button element with the text, submit, below the input element. Alright, so this is the input element, right? This is the input element. Add a button. So we're going to add the button. We're adding a button. And what should the text be? Submit. So we're going to do it the same way. The text is going to be in between. So now you see it's starting to look more like a form. And this should work because it said add this button. This button was not here before. Right? So there it's not. There it is. There it's not. There it is. So that's what it asks us to do. So we check the code. Congratulations, code passes. Submit your code to continue. We just did. So now we're going to go on to the next challenge. Even though you added your button below the text input, they appear next to each other on the page. So what they're saying is this is next to this. It is. I mean, right? This is next to this. That's all they're saying. That's because both input and button elements are inline elements, which don't appear on new lines. So there's some elements that aren't inline elements that just because of the element itself, it'll actually put it to it'll actually be as if you put a line break and it'll be on the next line. So another kind of like an example of this, I'm gonna try to use an example. Let's say this was an inline element. Bob. And it was next to another inline element. Tom. it would appear they would appear next to each other, Bob and Tom. But if it was not, there's some elements that, let's say it's not an inline element. Let's say it's not an inline element. Then, how it would appear is without any line break or anything, Tom would actually be on the next line, just because of the inherent nature of the element and it not being an inline element. So just because the element is not an inline element, it'll be as if you just hit enter by going to the next element, even though you didn't. So that's just that's all they're talking about there. Let's the button you added will submit the form by default. However, relying on default behavior may cause confusion. Add the type attribute with the value submit to the button to make it clear that it's a submit button. So this is kind of what I'm saying with this situation is, just because it says submit, where once you click it, all that data would be sent to wherever that action value, wherever that goes. But does just having the word submit in between those button elements make it a submit button? No. The computer won't know that. So, add the type element. So now we need to specify. So we're gonna add the type and make it a submit button. So now it's a submit button. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So let's continue. You can use radio buttons for questions where you want only one answer out of multiple options. Right? That's what a radio button is. It can only be one of them. Here's an example of a radio button with the option of cat input type radio cat. Remember that input elements are self-closing, okay? Before the text input, add a radio button. So before the text input, add a radio button with the option set as indoor. Okay, so before the text input. So this is a text input. Before the text input, add a radio button with the option set as Endure. So Endure. That makes it a radio button. Put the closing tag. Actually, I don't think we even need the closing tag. We'll just type in that. I don't know, I just have a weird feeling about this module. Hold on. I'm just not clear on what it's asking me to do. Before the text input, add a radio button with the option set as. So then the name would be Endure. Actually, that would be the value. But it doesn't tell you the name. Let's just see if that was it. Radio button's Endure text should be located after it instead of before it. Okay, so something small. So it wants this after, and I think that's it. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So that's what we're doing. So I guess I just put the text before it, and it didn't like that, so it wanted it after. So that made the test pass. So the next challenge, number 45. How close are we getting? We're at 44, so we need to get to 69 to finish. So we're about 25 away. So whenever it says, so the next thing we're going to be going on to, the blue represents what's completed, and the white represents to be completed. So once we hit 45, we'll be on 45, and at a certain point, we'll be finished with this. So then, after this, we're gonna graduate to CSS. So we're on a kind of a countdown to graduate to CSS. Damien says, I didn't know cats actually like lasagna. I thought only one cat did. Let's read in chat. So step 45. Label elements are used to help associate the text for an input element. What the input element itself. I just want to read. Actually, I do want to keep this interactive. So if I kind of go, I might go back and forth between reading chat. So I'm gonna. Yeah. So Damien says, "You have CSS. You have CSS. I imagine you will be moving on to Java and Kotlin in a bit. That is correct. We're gonna. I mean, I did kind of have a grand plan of everything, but I think that just kind of doing a deep dive is the best approach, rather than a plan, and that's what we're gonna do. We have been working on Java. I kind of want to make it so that we have a little bit more of a working knowledge of. I kind of want to make sure we have a little bit more of a working knowledge of kind of elements and attributes first, and kind of a little bit more Java. But actually, we went pretty far in Java. The next thing we're going to be covering in Java is something that would read and write a text message. Sorry, not a text message. Read and write a text file with a reader and a writer, and things like that. So I think that we're very close to being able to get into Android development. And if you kind of notice a lot of the Java, a lot of I guess kind of like the coding when you do code Android apps, it's gonna kind of almost look like it kind of looks like almost like a cross between programming and HTML tags. And we are going to use Android Studio. And a little bit of information on what Kotlin is. So Java is kind of just, it's a generic programming language. They recently made a programming language called Kotlin, and Kotlin is specifically, so it says it's perfect for making Android applications. It's specifically for Android applications. So basically, for phone apps of the Android type, Kotlin is the particular programming language for that. So we are definitely going to get into that. Much on Android Studio. We're definitely going to get into Android Studio. You should look into it if you have time. We're definitely going to get into that. I have before. Java and Kotlin are interfunctional. Yes. Both work. Kotlin is specific for Android applications and data. Yes. So it's kind of like, yeah. And we will definitely get into that. So, just getting a little bit into that, but it's good that we're being interactive. And I think I have an idea. My idea is, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna, once we kind of reach like a milestone, like how about once we get up to once we're about to get up to CSS, we're just gonna do maybe one panel or two panels or however it is, but we're gonna use that with StreamYard and just just go over previous concepts. But then it's gonna be very interactive. I think that's what we're gonna do. So step 45. Label elements are used to help associate the text for an input element with the input element itself, especially for assistive technologies like screen readers. So screen readers is for the hearing impaired. This is for people that are deaf. And how it works is it's not as simple as it just reads the text of the web page. You would think, like, how does a deaf person navigate a website? You would think, because what you kind of a part of what you learn when you lose, let's say you lose your hearing, or you lose your you lose your sight. Actually, I got that confused. I think I got that mixed up. It's not for the deaf. It's for the blind. I think I said it was for the deaf. I think I got that mixed up. But how blind people use websites is basically the screen reader would read the website so fast that you and I would not be able to understand it. So the blind kind of go that extra mile in being able to navigate the web by using their enhanced hearing ability. It would tell that assistive technology that is a radio button just by putting the label around it. Makes it so that clicking the word cat also selects the corresponding radio button. Nest your radio button inside a label element. So it's literally going to just ask us to do this. I'm not 100% sure if it's also having me wrap it around this too. We're going to find out if it doesn't work. But it works. Okay. So I wasn't sure if it was going to have me put it here. It would make sense if it just includes the entire thing. So then if a blind person hovers, I guess, over this, their screen reader would read that it's a radio button to select indoor. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. I just kind of want to read some of the chat. You can use it more than Android. It is just the preferred method according to Google. That's true. I'm working on a personal project. Would love to assist when you start the project. You're talking about I'll have a little experience. Definitely. It's usually a plugin the user activates with the hotkey for screen reader type plugins. I see what you mean. The screen reader will go audio. We know what you mean. Well, does it do auto indentation? Well, this I don't think. I mean, I don't know if you mean like this specifically. This editor. From what I'm seeing, no. I looked on the site. It doesn't have much good stuff for Kotlin. I can give you some good resources if you need. Definitely. We'll get into that. Yeah, I don't think that this website covers Kotlin. I think this is more web development. look up CS124. It is really helpful for beginners and covers both Java and Kotlin. Definitely. But meanwhile, we passed the test. So 46 out of 69. 69 is our number. 69 is our countdown. How far can we go today? The ID attribute is used to identify specific HTML elements. Each ID attribute value must be unique from all other ID values for the entire page. Add an ID attribute with the value indoor to the radio button. When elements have multiple attributes, the order of the attributes doesn't matter. Okay. So let me just make sure. I just kind of want to make sure that I'm hammering home the lesson that it's trying to tell you. Is used to identify specific HTML elements. Each ID attribute value must be unique from all other ID values. So an ID is kind of similar to a name, but since this is an indoor element, I think that's all it's asking us to do. So that's it. Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing this a lot more. We're going to be just, I kind of just want to get through as much content as possible. You know, now's kind of a good time to do that. Step 47. Create another radio button below the first one, nested inside a label element with outdoor as a label text. Give the radio button an ID attribute with outdoor as a value. So, let's see. Nested inside a label element with outdoor as a label. Create another radio button. We can do that. So let's just take it piece by piece. Oh, my mouse fell. Gotta back up. Yeah, the indentation's gonna be not good on this. Once it nested in a label element. Did I make a mistake here? Oh, that's just me not finishing it. Yeah, that's just me not finishing it. So instead of indoor, it's outdoor. Type radio. Goes to radio button. And outdoor. That should be what they asked us to do. Oh, I didn't close this. Think that should work. Yes, that worked. So basically, we just created, instead of a indoor, we created an outdoor. Now, I'm gonna kind of ask kind of a question, and I know it's gonna be brought up in the later modules. But what is missing from this situation? What's missing? There's something missing, and I think it's gonna be covered next. Yes. Because of that, I'm gonna make wait, am I not logged in? I'm not even logged in MVCap code. Yes. You've been granted modship because you got it right. I think I'm actually just gonna make Damien also a mod. But yeah, it's all about names and values. So, let's move on. So 48. So remember what our goal was? 69. So once we hit 69, we are done with HTML, and then we're ready to graduate to CSS. Yeah. Step 48, notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time. Think about why that is. See? I know like that was what they were going to talk about. But think about why that is. The biggest rule about radio buttons is that you can't select one at the same time. That's what makes a radio button. It has to be one or the other. That's what makes a radio button a radio button. Oh, actually, I will. This is the website. If people want to follow along, yeah, it's freecodecamp.org. I would just type that in. I don't think I can type that in chat or anything on OBS. But you should look for not the legacy HTML version, but you should look for the new responsive web design certification. Let me see. It's a good question. Yes, so you have the right link. Yes. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So we go back to it. We're at 47. Now we're going to go to 48. So we're getting a lot closer. Look how much closer we're getting. We were in the 20s before. Now we're in the late 40s. And we just have to get here. And then we are on our way to CSS. I kind of want to just, I don't know. I kind of want to, I'm going to do just we're going to eventually do a deep dive into GitHub. And then a little bit into CSS. I think I want to cover CSS. I want to make it so that we're not necessarily complete with CSS. And then we're going to get into Android development on another note. So it's going to be kind of like, it's going to kind of branch off of the learning we've built. It's not going to be connected necessarily. It's not going to be connected, like, we're not going to graduate into it. Like, it's kind of like we're teaching programming kind of on its own. We're going to then go into object-oriented programming and other stuff in Java. But where I feel we're ready for Android development, I think that we should start then when we're learning CSS, and yeah, to then build a little bit more into programming. So we're like really close to Android development, now that I think about it. Yeah, and we'll promote it on the main channel. Step 48. Notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time. To make it so selecting one radio button automatically deselects the other. Right, so that's how it's supposed to work, where you're only supposed to be able to use one at a time. But both must have a name attribute with the same value. So why is that? Because that's why you would want indoor outdoor, so that it knows. Because how would it really know? You know, let's say you have an indoor option and an outdoor option. If the name isn't the same thing, like indoor outdoor, then it wouldn't know that. I don't know. I'm trying to explain. It wouldn't know. So you have to have some way of knowing. So okay, so I'll put it this way. This is visual. You can like, what's going on here? You can select both. You can select indoor and outdoor. What's that about? It can only be indoor or outdoor. So by putting it in the same name, you put it in the same group, so then it knows that it's in the same group, so then it can behave like a proper radio button. Because this is like a checkbox. This doesn't make any sense. So once we have the same name, it's going to go away. So add a name attribute with the value indoor outdoor. Let's do it. I'm going to rate it here. Name. Name. Indoor outdoor. Copy. Whoops. Same thing. Same thing here. Now, this is the code that connects it. That connects them. Where again, indoor, outdoor, where you can select each one. So now because this code exists, right? Now there's code connecting them. Now you can't select both. You can't select both because now it's acting like a proper radio button because now it has this name code connecting the two. So congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Step 49. So remember, the goal is 69. We're 20 away. If you select the indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. Right, it's all about name and value attributes with forms. Since your radio buttons do not have a value attribute, the form data will include indoor-outdoor equals on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. Add a value to both radio buttons. For convenience, set the button's value attribute to the same value as its ID attribute. So these are the radio buttons. It's saying add a value attribute. Remember, these are attributes. So let's add a value attribute. So it matches the same as the ID. So what's the ID for this? Indoor. What's the ID for this? Outdoor. Oh, value. Whoops. Value. Should this work? Is this gonna work? Did I do what I was supposed to do? It worked. Oh, it says top chat. I don't want to miss any chats. I'll be there for the GitHub. Sounds good, sir. Promote on your main channel. Community post in case I miss. Yeah, definitely. We definitely got to get it out there. I think, yeah, we'll do. XX says, what's going to be on the first TM community project? I don't know. Honestly, right now is kind of just instructional stuff. It's literally like almost like this right now. You know, just very, very simple stuff where, you know, it's kind of just reinforcing the lessons. But then we're gonna kind of build our way to, we're gonna kind of build our way there. Answering your question. And yeah, there's really good questions coming in, by the way. I just want to say. So now 49, that's complete. So now less than 20. Less than 20. We're more than most of the way there. 50. Step 50. That'll be the home base. Yeah. So step 50. The field set element is used to group related inputs and labels together in a web form. Field set elements are block level elements, meaning that they appear on a new line. So remember when we talked about inline elements? And remember when I said, so we had inline elements, right? Where, if you have another inline element next to it, it's going to be on the same line. It's going to be on the same line, inline. Right? But when I said not an inline element, it would, because of the inherent nature of that it isn't an inline element, it's going to be on the next line. What do you think not an inline element is called? Block level elements. Nest the indoor and outdoor radio buttons within a field set element, and don't forget to indent the radio buttons. Okay. So, yeah, the indenting isn't the best here. Nest the indoor radio button. So that's the indoor radio button and the outdoor radio button. So I think it would just be, and I guess we're going to include the labels too. So before here and after here, we're nesting them. It's like we're putting it in a nest. Think about it like that. Or wrapping. Wrapping and the word nest go hand in hand. So what are we nesting them in? A field set element. Field set. Field set. Field set. Is it going to work? Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Apparently it works. So step 50. So now we're like 18 away from being done and being ready to graduate to CSS. The legend element acts as a caption for the content in the field set element. It gives users context about what they should enter into that part of the form. Add a legend element with the text, is your cat an indoor or outdoor cat? So it's kind of like asking you the question and then the form answers the question. You answer the question with the form. So, where does it want us to put it? So above both of this, above both of the radio elements, and we're going to put this text. Just testing my audio. Legend is your cat and indoor, so I think that should have worked. That's what it told us to do. So now, what does it look like? So, it kind of created this effect. That's what it did. I'm gonna remove it so you can notice the difference. So this block right here, the fact that it's in a block, that's the field set, right? So it looks a little better, right? And then what happens when I put the legend in? It kind of gives it that effect where the text kind of can go within the block. Just kind of makes it look nice. So what step are we on? 51? We're ready for 52. We might just finish this entire thing on the stream. I don't know. We've been going on for a while. Been going on for 2 hours, actually. Next, you are going to add some new form input elements. So add another field set element directly below the current field set element. Alright, we can do that. I mean, that's just as simple as doing this. Just typing it in. It really is very, very step by step, so I think this is literally all it asks us to do. That's literally all it asks us to do, is just create another field set element. So now, if you notice kind of another block, but nothing's in it, has been made. Yeah. Add a legend element with the text, "What's your cat's personality?" Okay, so I think now we're gonna be getting into checkboxes. So now the legend element. The legend element. See that little space there? It's already, even though nothing's in it, you can see it already being made. That little smidge right there. Now I want to put it back to 100. It's kind of wacky when you mess with that. What's your cat's personality? Copy. Paste. So now, like this effect, it's gonna have this effect. Is that what it wanted us to do? Does it deserve to pass a test? We're at 53. We're gonna move to 54. I think we're about 15 away from finishing it all up. 15 away. And actually, I'm just gonna really try, even if we don't finish it in this stream, I'm gonna really try today to finish all of the web development stuff for HTML. Because then once we ramp up a little bit with CSS, and I don't know, I mean, that might be kind of almost it. We can start Android development. Like, we really can. Like, maybe we should start it early. With kind of just some introductory stuff. So we're just gonna, once we get a little bit ramped up with CSS, we're gonna kind of start and dive into Android development. So it did pass. Now we're on to 54. Oh, hitting it again. Yep, I forgot. Forms commonly use checkboxes. Yep, checkboxes is what we're going to be doing for questions that may have more than one answer. For example, here's a checkbox with the option of tacos. Input type checkbox tacos. Under the legend element you just add an input with its type attribute set to checkbox. And give it the option of loving. Okay, so basically, just like we have radio buttons in here, we're gonna put checkboxes in here. So that's what we're gonna kind of work on right now. Under the legend element we just add an input where the type is a checkbox. We want to close that out because what is an input element? It's self-closing, right? And give it the option of loving. I'm kind of wondering if we're supposed to do the whole thing. Oh, actually, no, it wouldn't be the name. Because why isn't there a name? There should be a name. I think they're going to do that later. But the option is going to be living. Well, actually, I want to just make sure it's case sensitive and everything. So I'm just going to copy it, rather. But I feel like you should do the name first. And then value should be the same thing. And let's see, did we do what we were supposed to do? Did it tell us? It didn't tell us anything about a name. That's the only thing that's kind of strange. I think that's it. Should be, the text loving should be located directly to the right of the checkbox. Oh, okay. So that's it. It's just the text. But other than that, yeah, it's still not including the name there. I think that's going to be the next thing. So I kind of preemptively put in the ID there. I guess I jumped the gun. But we can put that in there as well. Add an ID attribute with the value loving to the checkbox input. Okay, let's do that. That's it. That's it. We actually already did this, but we did it again. Now we're almost So 56. So remember that. We're approaching 59, which would bring us to 10 away. So we're basically 13 away from being really close to being ready to start CSS. So I think tomorrow, as early as tomorrow, we can start CSS. Well, actually, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is Thanksgiving, actually. But the next time there's a stream, we're gonna be doing CSS, and then shortly after that, we're gonna be getting into Android development. Step 56. There's another way to associate an input element's text with the element itself. You can nest the text within a label element and add a for attribute with the same value as the input element's ID attribute. Okay. So I think what it's saying is another way to accomplish what the ID accomplishes. Associate the text loving with the checkbox by only nesting the text loving in a label element and place it to the right side of the checkbox input element of the checkbox input element. Okay, so let's see this. All right. Associate the text loving with the checkbox by only nesting the text loving. So we're saying nesting, we're putting it in a nest. So we're going to create the label. I think I put it on the right side of this. And it's an attribute. It's an attribute. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so I see what it's saying. So it's basically connecting the two. Associate the text loving. What's wrong with this? Text loving should no longer be located directly to the right of the checkbox. It should be wrapped in a label element. Oh, okay, hold on. I think I misunderstood the directions. It actually wants this text. It wants this text to be nested. So it wants to nest this, not this entire thing. Okay. So that should work. So now it's actually... So again, that would be something that would tell the screen reader what to do. It would be kind of something like that. But now we're at 56. And actually, I think we're kind of in a loud area a little bit, so Um, I'm going to. I think I'm gonna actually wrap it up here, but we're at 57 right now. So now we're only 12 away. So now we're only 12 away. Kind of in summary, you know, we got this far, and that 4 attribute is connecting, literally connecting this text with the element itself, um, with the checkbox. So it's literally connecting the two. So we're at 57. I think that's about it. I just wanted it to be high quality. I don't know if, and we might finish. If I do finish up, we'll probably do it very late tonight, or if not, we'll continue at some point Friday. But in summary, here's our progress so far. So it says new responsive web design certification. I'm trying to find. Oh, I was looking for a legacy. So legacy is pegged some reason to the end here, and I would imagine it would be connected to this. I don't know why it's ordered like that. I was imagining this would be like after this or before this. But as far as this, we kind of finished the HTML stuff of the legacy version. And when they say legacy, this is like the first. This was like the first one they came out with, the first learning modules they came out with. And we're now done with the HTML stuff. On that, we've been done with that. The next one's CSS. We'll be getting into. New responsive web design. This is where we are finishing up HTML on the new one. So it's really just like repeating, and just repeating and reinforcing these concepts. And actually, it's very easy to forget this stuff. It's a lot of information, but once it's once we kind of have it in mind and we're able to use it, and you can use your resources all the time. You don't have to memorize everything. There's multiple ways to kind of use your resources. But we're eventually gonna kind of build on what we know with examples. And after it's kind of like we're finishing up the HTML unit, and then after I really want to reinforce the HTML unit with like panels, and I think we're gonna set up. I want to set up. After that, I want to really set up a Guilded. Where we can make it as interactive as possible, panels and everything like that, and I'm actually working on the GitHub, so that I've put up the code for one of them, and I'm basically trying to make sure everything works. So once I roll that out, you're gonna be able to just download all the stuff I work on, and you'll be able to maybe contribute to things, and we're gonna kind of learn together about contributing to open source code and what that means. And kind of building that into it. So there's a lot ahead, and I think that is it. That's all I can think of. So we're gonna kind of end it here. Been on for 2 hours and 18 minutes, and yeah, we're gonna actually end it off here. Thanks for watching. XX says good stream. See you next time. Yeah, and thanks for all the interactivity, and thanks for watching.